Hi everyone and welcome back to the Crafty Yellow Camper. I've got another video for you today which is a little bit of a stash busting video. As some of you may know if you've watched other videos, I was unfortunately ill just before Christmas and so was unable to do any classes from August, September time on the run up to Christmas. Consequently, I'd got bits and pieces that I'd bought, mainly Christmas stuff, but some other bits and pieces that we hadn't used in my classes. So before I get anything new, I want to use up what I've got. So this technique is something that you can do with any designer series paper that you've got, but I happen to have a pretty much untouched packet of the beautiful gallery paper, which goes with the Gallery Blooms stamp set, which is this, and I believe it was an online exclusive, so it may still be available. The colours are really nice in it. You've got basic beige, basic black, basic grey, lots of basics there, calypso coral, cloud cover, crumb cake, early espresso, grey granite, lost lagoon, mossy meadow, peach pie, pecan pie, secret sea and smoky slate. So there's an awful lot of colours in there, and they go with the 2025 to 7 in colours. So when we get some new in colours in May, the ones we'll be losing will be Pretty in Pink, Petunia Pop, Summer Splash, Shy Shamrock, and peach pie. So yeah, and then the Strawberry Slush, Darling Duckling, Timid Tiger, Secret Sea and Cloud Cover will be the ones that are the older ones. So yeah, I mean, just to give you a quick flick through, you can see all the bits and pieces that I've cut there, but just to give you a quick flick through, there are 48 sheets, they're 6x6s, and I mean the images, look at that, they are absolutely beautiful. They're all double-sided, so I mean this one will be great for Christmas cards, because you can just add some glitter to that and you've got a Christmas card going. There's some beautiful scenes. They are like oil paintings, really. Hopefully that gives you an idea. And then obviously lovely illustrations on the back. Some of them are that sort of painterly type illustration. Others of them are different patterns. So this is the card that I've already made, and I'm going to show you how to make it, but I'm going to make it in a different paper. So this is the reverse of one of the papers. This has got a beautiful picture of some roses on it, but it didn't really work because the roses were more of the focal point. So I've turned it over and I've used this sort of painterly side of it. Now the idea for this card came from one of the kits that is currently available. That is actually sort of a rectangular oval, if that makes sense, and we do have a punch that same shape, and I got the idea from Emma Ryder, who is Stamp with Emma, and she did actually have the punch that's almost identical to the kit. I don't have that punch, so I just had a look through my punches and came across this really old label punch which I like, and it worked. So the kit has different sizes and layouts of the sort of holes, if you like, for want of a better word. Anyway, so that's the card that I've already made, and I've done some stamping on the inside as well. So let me get started and show you how I did this, and more importantly how I lined it up. So for this particular card, this is the piece of designer series paper I've chosen, and the back is really pretty as well. Look, it's sort of like a French wallpaper design, I guess. And there are some gorgeous patterns. But for this one, I'm not going to use the back side. I'm going to use the roses, maybe, but potentially that's what I'm going to start with. So I've got a card base, a C6 card base that is half of an A4 sheet of cloud cover, and cut diagonally. So this is 14.8 by 21, scored at 10.5, and we're going to use it in a landscape position. I've got 2 pieces of basic white, These are cut at 14.3 by 10. So these are our matte layers. One is going to go onto the front of the card and the other one is going to go inside the card. Now you might notice, I'm just going to put that card base out of the way, you might notice that the designer series paper and the white, basic white matte layer are the same size, and they are the same size because I am going to punch into them. But you could, once you've punched into them, you could cut them down slightly so you've got a white border between the design series paper and the matte layer, and I might well do that on this one, we'll see. So the easiest way to line this up to punch it, obviously we don't want to punch through this because we're going to stamp on this. So what I've done is I've made myself a template. I've just got a piece of scrappy paper that I think I've done some inking on, and what I've done is I've used it and I've gone in at one end as far as the punch will go and punched a white section out there. Then I've turned it round and done exactly the same thing and punched. Then what I've done is I've gone in with my designer series paper and I'm making sure that I've got an equal border each side and it's level with the bottom of the punch, and I'm just going to punch these pieces out. And again, make sure you've got an equal border. If you want to measure it, measure it. I'm just eyeballing it and I'm punching those out. These pieces can obviously be kept for later and used for another card, or you could use them as a label on your card to put a greeting on, whichever you want to do. Then what I did, I marked this with the top on it, and you can see that doesn't quite line up. So I've got my designer series paper the wrong way around. These kind of cards are better for papers that don't have a direction. Okay, still not lining up this one, is it? Anyway, doesn't really matter. And then what we're going to do, well, it does, but what I was going to do was use this as a mask to stamp in there. So I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to get another piece of scrap paper, because obviously these are clearly a little bit different. Line it up, hold it, and then I'm going to go back in with my punch. Line that up. Turn it round and do the other end, so you can't actually see any paper. Okay, so those are just scrap bits, but they're sometimes good as masks. Okay, and then we can use this in order to stamp in the right place on our card. You just need to make sure you keep it the right way up. So my paper has got roses on it and they're going in both directions, so it doesn't really matter. I could turn it over if I wanted to and use that side, but I'm not going to. I'm going to use this side. So just make sure it's lined up, okay? Then you can use this, make sure. So this one again, let's put a T for top on it and make sure that it is lined up properly with your white underneath. Then I'm going to bring in my ink. So I've got some cloud cover ink which matches our base card, and I'm using I'm also going to put a Stampin' mat underneath it because this stamp set is photopolymer. I need a bit of cushioning, so I'm using this image and this image because they fitted in the aperture nicely. So I'm just inking it up, make sure it's all lined up, and then this is going to act as a mask to get our image in the right place. So that's that one, and then I'm going to come in with this other one. So the one's a bit shorter, so we need to ink it up a bit further down, and I'm going to stamp that one. Okay, so there's our images. So now when we put our designer series paper back on, they're in the right place. So you can eyeball it, but I just find it easier like that. So that and that are now going to get glued together. Let me just move my stamp mat out of the way. So we're going to glue this paper onto our card that we've stamped on. Again, just offering it up to make sure it's level. And you want to try and make sure there's no white showing, and that's why I'm using Tombow. If there is a little bit of white showing, you've got a little bit of wiggle room to move it about a little bit before it sets properly. Okay, and then we're going to use some dimensionals to pop that up a little bit. You do have to be quite quick. I've got a little tiny bit of white showing down there, but I don't think it's going to matter. So I'm using up the edges on my dimensionals. I've never been the type of person that puts a ton of dimensionals on, but you put on how many you feel comfortable with. I do like to be frugal with my supplies. Let's face it, they are very good quality, but they aren't the cheapest supplies in the world. So I like to maximise what I get out of my supplies. I need to empty my little jar, really. I keep saying that. Right, okay. Now, obviously, we know which way this needs to go up because we've got our images stamped the right way up. So that's that one there. And then for the other piece of cardstock, this is the piece that's going to go inside our card. I used this image because I thought it lent itself nicely to going round a corner. So I'm bringing my stamp mat back in again, and this is very monochrome, this really. We're not adding in loads and loads of colour. So I'm just going to stamp this in the corners. It does really help putting a stamp mat underneath your work when you're doing photopolymer, to get a nice crisp image and no missed bits. There we go. Okay, so that's that. So that's going to go inside our card. So I can move that stamp mat out of the way now. Add some glue. Now, if you're anything like me, I have quite a big stash of gems and bits and pieces, because I buy them because I love them, and then I don't always use them, or I'll use a few. So this year is not going to be a year of saving things just in case. This is going to be a year of using stuff up before we purchase any more. So I am not going to put a greeting on this one yet, because I don't know who I'm going to be sending it to yet. So this one we put a happy birthday on, and I just stamped the happy birthday from the flowing flowers and just inked it with a brush with a bit of Mossy Meadow, and then added some gems. So I want to put some gems on this one. So I just need to see what I've got in my stash that will work. And we've got these iridescent rhinestones. They might work quite nicely because they've sort of got that cloud cover colour. Oh, look what I've just found. 2020 to 2022 enamel dots. I think those colours have long since retired. That's what happens when you get quite a few. They end up, you end up losing them down to the bottom of the, wherever they're stored. It's falling out all over the show here. Purple gems. I don't think we need purple gems. What else have we got? Birds and dragonflies. We've got pearls, actually, might look quite nice. We've got butterflies. shall we go for? I'm thinking one of these iridescent rhinestones can go down there. I'll have a little one up there. Okay, and then I think we might go for one of these butterflies. Put that little butterfly up there. So we've got a little brass butterfly up there, and we've got some iridescent gems down there. Should always have things in 3s or 5s, odd numbers, 1, 3 or 5. But I really fancy another little butterfly here on there. Actually, I think if I can persuade that one off without ripping the paper, I did, that can go in there. So we've got 4 now, so that won't work. So I'm going to have to add another iridescent gem down there with that one, like that. Okay. Oh, really? They're not in line, are they? Wonky as. That's better. Okay, so we've got our lovely designer series paper. We've stamped our images. We've got our little brass butterflies and some rhinestones. Okay, and then inside we've got those other images, which is great if you don't want to write loads. Okay, so there are our 2 cards that we've made today. Hope you like them, and I hope you'll give this technique a try. It will work with pretty much any punch, so long as your stamps will fit inside the punched aperture. Okay, that's it from me for today. I'll see you all again soon. Thanks for watching, and happy stamping.